Welcome back to World Traveler Cooking, where we cover interesting cuisines and interesting foods from around the world. Today we're going to make the Creole version, or a Creole version, of gumbo, which is a classic Louisiana dish. Of course, if you're not aware, Louisiana has two sort of major culinary traditions to that state. One is the Cajun tradition and one is the Creole tradition. And we're going to make the Creole version today. At some point I'll come back and make a Cajun version because these are great dishes, but they are just a little different in the two versions. So we will start with the holy trinity of vegetables in Creole cooking. This is celery, which we have one stalk. We have one green pepper. I've already cored it because I'm making chicken broth. I threw the core in the chicken broth because that's often what we do for Creole stuff. An onion, and then to that we will add garlic and okra. Okra is optional, believe it or not. Not all gumbos, especially not all Creole gumbos have it, but it's really good, so we're definitely going to use it. Our meat mixture, some people also add crab, but I'm going to add just andouille sausage. This is a smoked sausage, so if you can't get andouille, you can probably substitute another smoked pork sausage like kielbasa. And then I'm adding, I have 500 grams of shrimp, and I have 2 chicken breasts. I'll go over my spices separately, but I've also weighed out 180 grams of oil, specifically for the roux, and 120 grams of flour, which we'll use in the next step. And then I have 2 cans of, in this case, diced tomatoes, but you can use crushed or even puree if you'd like. We'll come back and finish it with green onions and parsley. So, let's go ahead and I'll show you the spices, and then we'll go ahead and start the roux. And then I'll start like pan frying all the meats. Now you can certainly go and just grab a few tablespoons of your favorite Creole seasoning blend. And I didn't have any onion powder, but I would have added that if I had it. But I have 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 3 teaspoons of paprika powder, 2 teaspoons of crushed red pepper, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 2 teaspoons of basil, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of white pepper, 3 teaspoons of gumbo file. This is not part of your Creole seasoning blend. It's really good in gumbo, as you can imagine, but if you can't get it, you can leave it out. Gumbo file is made from powdered sassafras leaves, and it gives it a wonderful extra flavor. So, we'll also use some salt, and that will go in later. So, for now, apologize for the background noise with the laundry, but that happens. We're going to go ahead and get started on the roux. So, into the oil goes the flour. And we're just going to stir this until we have sort of a slurry. And then we're just going to cook. I think this will actually take a little more flour. So I'm going to add a bit more flour, and then we'll just keep heating this up. So as you can see, this just keeps darkening, and this is still considered a moderate to maybe even slightly light roux for gumbo, but I've been at this for 45 minutes now, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue. So, the next step, we're going to add our trinity of vegetables, all of which are finely chopped, into our roux. And here, definitely, we're going to switch to the wooden spatula. And we're going to fry these for a few minutes until they are cooking down a bit. Then I'll add the sausage, and then the chicken, and then the chicken stock. I changed my mind. I'm going to add the tomatoes in first. Just because that'll give me sort of a nice fuller mixture before I add. There we go. That's looking really good. So I have tasted it and it needs definitely a lot more salt, so I'm going to start with 2 heaping teaspoons. And stir that in. Keep in mind that the salt will get absorbed by things, so if it tastes a little bit salty at first, that's okay. And I may still add some more chicken broth. I add chicken broth until I get the consistency I want. I don't go by volume. And now that that's tasting good, in go the spices. Stir this around. We will taste it again in a little bit. So, since I'll be adding okra, I managed to get this from the chicken broth, so let's take that out. I made this a little bit thinner. I added the rest of the chicken broth, so probably 2 or a little more liters of chicken broth. And now I'm going to add 3 bay leaves, or 2 if they're large, and I'm going to let this simmer for about an hour. Then I'll come back and we can finish this up with the okra, and then the shrimp. So now that this has been simmering for about an hour, I'm noticing some oil pooling at the top. That's probably as the sausage continues to cook and release oil. There's a little more oil than the roux can absorb. That's all right. Next we will add our okra, and then we'll finish it off. So I'm actually going to let this cool down for a bit. So I don't hot pan, tablespoon or so of grease, maybe a 2nd tablespoon. Add my okra, and I'm going to stir fry this or saute it until this is nicely cooked. Once it is browning nicely, add a couple tablespoons of vinegar. And pour it into the gumbo. So we're going to stir this in. And if the oil doesn't start reabsorbing quickly, I'll probably whisk in a little bit of flour. Help that happen. I think this wouldn't have happened except I added more chicken broth just because I had a little bit of extra, and I think I exceeded what the roux would handle. Also, the sausage has probably released some extra. So now we will add our onion, green onion, and a bunch of parsley, at least a cup, maybe a bit more. So I bought what were supposed to be raw, peeled shrimp, but in fact they seem to be cooked peeled shrimp. So we're just not going to cook them for very long. I'm just going to basically let them warm up, and then I'll be ready for my taste test. And now for the taste test. This just nails it. The deep, smoky flavor from the roux and the sausage, the spiciness, the seasoning, it's all spot on. This is awesome. Now, if you like this content, you'd like to see more of it, please like, share, and subscribe. Really helps this channel grow. In addition, if you have anything to say about this dish, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.